Sometimes life gets hard, and I don't know where to start. Sometimes I feel like a failure, but that's not what's in my heart. I think about my little babies, and I begin to smile. Then I pull myself together and try to run another mile. As a woman, I know my worth. Yeah, I'm gonna make it. Gotta follow my dreams, put myself first. Oh yeah.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the journey of womanhood. I'm so excited on tonight. Listen, I need you all to share this video, share, tag a friend, grab a girlfriend. We're going to talk tonight. This is our last night talking about motherhood. And I thought it was very fitting that we have these young women on tonight to talk about motherhood. It's going to be awesome. We have two awesome, phenomenal, beautiful moms, one by the name of Melissa Jakes and Nicole Hubb. So listen, share, share somebody, tag somebody, have someone join in to the conversation. I can guarantee you it will bless you on tonight. You will get something out of this conversation on tonight. Our first guest on tonight, her name is Melissa Jakes, and she is a phenomenal woman of God. And I'm going to get out the way, but don't forget to tag. Don't forget to share, because we're going to have a wonderful conversation about our journey to motherhood.
Melissa Jakes, CEO and founder of Rescue Event Planning, a Washington, D.C.-based boutique event planning firm to influencers, organizations, and corporations. Her clients have given her the prestigious title of the Olivia Pope of live events because it's handled. During her career, she has been the event guru behind some of the most amazing events. Rescue Event Planning has been featured in several publications and podcasts. Event Planner Association podcast, Rent My Wedding Magazine 2019 and 2020, Morgan State University, iHeartRadio, CEO Blog Nation, BET Influencer, Event Planner Expo 2020, and recently named Best Planner on the East Coast 2020 and Comcast Rise Award recipient. Melissa's expertise in online event planning is a hot commodity. In addition to live and online event planning services, Melissa and her company Rescue Event Planning also provide several course offerings on various topics related to event planning and entrepreneurship. She gives mommypreneurs the tools and services to balance career, business ownership, and management with family. She is a wife, mother of two, and a business owner. Ladies, please welcome Melissa Jakes.
Awesome. Hi, Melissa.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited, and we're so excited to have you on with us on tonight as we talk about motherhood and our experience in motherhood. You are not just a mother of two, but you're also a wife, and you also are an entrepreneur. So I just want to let's start from the beginning. Let's start from your first journey, your beginning journeys of motherhood, starting with your first child. And can you just talk about anything you might have went through, just going through that to get to where you are now?
Yeah, so my journey to motherhood was not the best experience, really. We lost our first child at 16 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And it was, we found out after the procedure that it was a boy.
Oh.
And, as you never think there are problems, right?
Yeah.
And so that's when we found out that with my condition of PCOS, that my cervix does not hold babies or after a certain week as they get bigger.
Okay.
And so that started the journey of, okay, there was an issue. We lost a child, but at least we had medical care to help us through to figure out how to move forward. Of course, the hesitation of even trying to get pregnant again was, very real.
Definitely.
Because my husband and I were like, that it was traumatic,
Yeah.
We started buying things, we were excited. And so we didn't know if we wanted to go through that again. Little did we know that I was already pregnant again.
Oh my God.
So like about
that's awesome.
Yeah, 3 months after our loss, we got pregnant again.
Okay.
What they didn't tell you is that after you have a D&C, it's almost like giving birth. You still have to have 6-week rests.
That's right.
No one told us that. So you're immediately fertile. And so,
oh Lord.
Yeah, of course we were happy, but we were also very nervous because
definitely.
Hasn't even been a year. Here we go again. But at least we knew we had a high risk doctor, and then we had our regular OB.
Okay.
Um, and so we started going down that journey. We reached to the 16 weeks, and you're always like, okay, that's where you had your first loss. You're trying to move
Right.
forward to it. And then we got to about 20.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was high risk, I was seeing the specialists,
Mm-hmm.
and then the OB. So it would be at least 2 doctor visits a month.
Got it.
And so they're always measuring my cervix to make sure it's not shortening.
Okay.
Well, at 20 weeks, it started opening again. So I was rushed to the hospital to have an emergency cerclage, and that's basically to sew your cervix up to hold the baby.
Okay.
And then from there was modified bed rest. So it was just trying to get to the finish line.
Yeah, definitely.
And we did. And so we had a beautiful baby girl, and was truly happy with her. And at that point we were like, this it was a lot of drama.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of emotional toll, not only for the mom, but also for the dad.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but by you saying that, how did you manage your own emotions as a mom or expectant mom, with already a track record of, you lost the baby,
Right.
and here you are expecting a new baby. How did you manage your own emotions and be there for your husband as well?
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of times where I just cried, and
Yeah.
my mom wasn't in the country at that time,
Okay.
so I didn't have that mom support
Yeah.
in person.
Got it.
But we definitely had a community
Oh, wonderful.
that helped with bringing us food, because I was on modified bed rest, so I couldn't cook.
Yeah.
I had to kind of go on a special schedule with my job at that time.
Okay.
But really just trying to stay positive and relying on my husband, while keeping him motivated, and
Yeah.
the small little things, when she started kicking, and I think we were attached, but we were kind of detached at the same time, to just know, like, okay, this is really happening now,
Right.
without getting our hopes up.
Got it.
So I think that, and being anchored in God too.
Yeah.
We had a beautiful church family that really prayed around us.
Oh, wonderful.
Mhm.
You need that spiritual support as well as emotional and physical support when you're going through that, especially as it don't matter what age you are, but as a woman, there's a lot of feelings that you deal with, especially losing a child. I've lost through miscarriage, a set of twins actually, and it really was very traumatic for me. So I definitely can understand. So let's move forward a little bit. So
Yeah.
baby girl was born,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have another surprise.
Yes. So, well, actually, before him, we did get pregnant again, and we had
Oh,
another loss.
oh,
And that was shocking, because you think, okay, I'll have one loss in my life,
yeah.
and not thinking that you will have another loss.
Now, how
So
far along were you with the second loss?
I think I might have been 8 or 10 weeks or so. So by the time we went to the doctor, the heartbeat wasn't there.
Okay.
So we were, I knew something was wrong, because I was very emotional.
Yeah, yeah.
But we found out we were pregnant on Thanksgiving. And so we were like, oh my gosh, happy Thanksgiving. This is great. Then we went to our first appointment, and it was just disbelief. Like, are you sure you can't see a heartbeat? So we waited another week would go by to see, because sometimes when the baby is very small,
Right.
hard to see. And we got to 12 weeks, and it just was not happening. And neither would my body dispel the baby either.
Oh.
So I had to go through another D&C again. So you can imagine, we were just like, forget it. Like, you know, even though we weren't trying, it was
Right.
just like, forget it. We don't.
But that brings another layer of trauma and devastation, because not only this second time around, now you're a mom.
Yeah.
Now you're not just dealing with it, just you and your hubby. Now you have this baby that you have to take care of in the midst of managing your own issues with this loss.
Yeah. And at that time, she kept asking for a brother or sister.
Oh,
And she's like, I'm praying for a brother and sister. And so, you know, we never told her. We never
yeah,
told her
yeah.
about it. Because at the time, Gabby was about 5 or
Okay.
4,
Okay.
4 turning 5-ish. So, of course, she wouldn't understand.
Definitely.
Yeah. So it took about another year that I think we felt the courage of, because she continued to ask and she said, I'm praying. I know I'm having a brother. Um, so listen, out of the mouth of babes, okay?
Yeah.
And so I think at one point she even said, yeah, mommy, you have a baby in your tummy. And at that time I didn't know.
Wow.
But I actually was pregnant.
Children are so connected.
I know.
They're so connected.
I know. And it hit me. I was in the middle of a big event for
Okay.
a client, and something went wrong. And usually when something goes wrong, you know, that's where my skills come in. I'm like, okay, I'm the solver. But I just sat down and started crying. And then said, oh my gosh, I think I'm pregnant. Because I can't get it together.
Yeah.
And then I did find out I was. And I took about a good day before I told my husband, because again, the emotional toll. Am I pregnant? Is there a heartbeat? Now you have to think of, like, you know, you start going through everything. Okay, is there a heartbeat? All right, if there is a heartbeat, we still got to deal with this whole issue of my cervix.
That's right.
Right. So, so there was a heartbeat. We knew that the plan was going to happen of having a cerclage earlier, because Gabby was emergency at 20 weeks. So we knew that we needed to have it earlier, around 15, 16 weeks. And right after that, that was like the end, around my birthday, actually, the end of January. And then COVID comes. So it was, to me, a double whammy. Emotional toll. Is like, I don't want no one touching me. Don't come next to me. I'm already high risk.
Right.
And I have to still, because I'm high risk, I still have to go in. There's no telemedicine for me.
Right.
And so it's the cautions of, when you get there, Miss Jakes, they wipe, you know, wanding me down, putting the gloves on for me, the mask, all of that stuff, because we're all these high risk moms coming together. So, and my husband could not come to any visits at all.
So you were doing it alone.
Yeah. Yep. So, and to take out the cerclage is not a surgery. It is an office procedure.
Wow.
Not a fun procedure at all. And so,
that's not how I imagine, honestly.
At all, right? It's like you put it in surgically, take it out surgically, right? No, because they don't want to do too much anesthesia with the baby getting close to term. But they do need to take it out in case, you know, I start going into contractions and you have cerclage in. So when I took my last cerclage in, it was so painful, I accidentally kicked the doctor in the face. It was so painful. So I knew I needed to have my husband there, but he could not be there. So he had to stay in the car downstairs while I did that by myself. Though, you know, the team was good. They had a good 4 nurses in there with me and whatnot, and just try to have the procedure go well. But yeah, and, you know, giving birth in COVID was totally different than giving birth, you know, with Gabby.
COVID was definitely a game changer.
Yeah, it definitely was. It definitely was. But, you know, we made it, and we had a beautiful baby boy.
Wonderful.
That Gabby prayed for. So
that's a manifestation of her prayers.
Yes.
It is. That's amazing. I love that. So you are an event planner.
Yeah.
Amongst a whole lot of other things that you do. We'll talk about that a little later. How do you, so God, you know, he has a way of healing and helping us through our emotional process when we have lost. And I'm sure that was a process of grief that you had to go through.
Yeah.
with losing the second baby, and it probably made you revisit the grief that you had to deal with the very first time.
Yes.
Um, and then you went through that with now a child, and then here you have a prophetess that she's praying for a new baby, and the baby came,
Mm-hmm.
and Miss Prophet Gabby, and now you are managing COVID and as an entrepreneur, now mom,
Mm-hmm.
and of course wife. How did you get through that process? Because I know you are a stay-at-home mom,
Mm-hmm.
but you're working at home,
Right.
and the kids are there too.
Yeah.
How does
Yeah.
that work? How does that work? Because I know, I'm sure you're very busy. You have different clientels. You're doing events all over this, DMV, not only physical events, but virtual events, and
Mm-hmm.
managing your clients, and then managing mommy time and tummy time and circle time and hubby and the wife time and all these things. How do you do all of that without going crazy?
Yes. Right. Right. It is definitely it definitely takes time.
Yeah,
And a support system.
definitely.
Having like my best friends and other moms to talk to,
Mhm.
and becoming a mom again. 6 years difference of learning all the different things. Like I think we did this with Gabby. I can't remember,
Mhm.
but and definitely a supportive husband,
Yeah.
and family. My mom, thankfully, she was in the country during this time,
Oh,
and
good.
so able to help us.
Awesome.
But also just pacing yourself. I keep a Google Calendar, and sometimes I don't adhere to it myself, but
Right.
I try to build in self-care days where it's
Yeah.
just
That's so good.
nothing, me,
Oh,
whether in silence, watching my
yes.
favorite TV show,
Yes.
just me. And it's so important
It's
because,
so important.
we, regardless if you had a child or not, COVID beat us all up.
Yes.
And another layer people are gonna have to deal with is, though some people are excited going out, some people still have anxiety
Hmm.
of going out,
It's
and trying to get back to what's considered norm,
exactly.
before COVID. But it was definitely the support of my husband. There's times where I wanted to quit my business,
Mhm.
especially with it being hit hard.
Yeah. Because it's all
Um,
events cease.
yeah, all in
Yeah.
person. And so trying to pivot and rebrand ourselves as
Mhm.
virtual events, helping
Mhm.
people along
Mhm.
in small businesses and entrepreneurship, being a mommypreneur and trying to reach that audience. It's a lot. And it's still a lot because,
Yeah,
technically
definitely.
not somewhat in quarantine, but some people are still not having, we can't have too much of big events yet.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it was a lot, and I still think it's still a lot, but it's just pacing yourself and giving yourself grace. I
Yes.
think,
That's
as women, we feel like we need to be on this regiment, and we
hmm
don't give ourselves grace to say,
hmm
you may have not completed all the to do tasks today,
hmm hmm
and that's okay.
hmm Yes, and it's so easy for us. I call it to have that superwoman complex.
Yeah.
To say I have to do it, and I don't care how old your kids are, or if you even have kids or not. Um, as women, we have a tendency to do, and we put ourselves on the back burner. So I was really interested, and I was really happy to hear that you have those self-care days because um, with the two children, and they're, you have a baby and basically a toddler,
Hmm.
and you have your husband, and you all have to spend your time to keep the fire going,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and then you need the time for yourself, and then you need time for your business. So,
Yeah.
that takes a lot of managing and a lot of discipline,
Yeah.
to really try to keep that going. How do your children deal with um, mommy's at work,
Yeah.
mommy's at work, daddy's at work, or how do they deal with this whole process, or does your support system just help with that as well?
Gabby loves to she's such a helper. That's just her whole personality. So if I'm in a meeting and she's at home, she'll close my door to my office, like, mommy's in a meeting.
Wonderful.
Yeah, she's like, are you on camera? Are you in a meeting?
I love that.
I see, and I was like, nah, my head's okay, and she'll close the door to know that, you know, mommy's working. Or she'll knock, she's like, are you still in a meeting? She's like, okay, well, can I help you? Do you need anything shredded?
I love that.
You know, so she's such a helper. And then I'll catch her downstairs planning her own event. She'll have her clipboard and
the legacy continues.
Yeah, I know, right?
I love that. I love it.
Yes.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And Jameson, you know, he doesn't know anything right now, but
he's just
all he knows about people on the screen.
Yeah,
so he likes to see who's on the screen.
Now.
Right. Right. And my husband, he's the one who really pushed me into the business. You know, I was I have my bachelor's in sociology and I have my master's in social work. So my track was social worker. And when my passion wasn't being fulfilled, or my passion kept reoccurring where people continue to ask me to help them plan events. And I was like, okay. And then it started becoming more requests. He said, you know, why don't you just try it? So, you know, I did that while I was still working full time until it came to a point where they were competing with each other. And so I went to the business full time.
And when you're working your passion, you're not working at all.
Right.
You know, you're doing something. I mean, you know, it's work, but you're doing something that you actually enjoy. Now, how long have you been in the business?
So 6 years. 6 years we've been in the business.
Okay.
And I've been full time since 2018.
Is this full-time entrepreneurship, not looking back to going back to corporate?
Yeah, I don't like I like creating my own schedule, and it gives me time to breathe.
Yes.
And it gives me time to say, you know, today I can't do it today.
Yeah.
I need to just be with the kids.
Yeah. I definitely can relate. I can relate. I had a job that was basically offered to me, and all I kept hearing was, I need you here every day. And I'm like, oh, you know, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm fine. You know, it's those are the perks of being an entrepreneur. Even though you work harder.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
When you have your own business. Now, let's talk about the birthing of Mommypreneur.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Mommypreneur. Yeah.
So let's talk about the birthing of that, and what was the inspiration? Where did that inspiration come from?
Yeah, that came from, I was pregnant with Jameson, and COVID hit, and it was trying to figure out ways of rebranding. And, you know, you always heard of Mom Boss or Mom is doing it. And before COVID really got going, actually, I think before I even knew about COVID, my worry was, how am I going to be able to handle an event planning business while being pregnant, high risk? When the world am I about to do? Because I had some events leading to like May. There was a very big event. I was going to be on my feet for 3 days, and I was due July, so I knew I was going to be big. And not knowing anything about COVID at that time. So my branding coach and I were talking about, you know, doing different things, and I said, you know what? What about, you know, we always talk about entrepreneur. What about mommypreneur? And something just clicked with Mommypreneur Wednesdays, and bringing on different moms who can talk about their journey of why do they start their business, and majority of it is somehow surrounding around kids. And you know, the struggles and what their business is about. And kind of just having, you know, not even thinking anything about bringing income in. It was just having that space, but it really was birthed of while having Jameson, and because we were in COVID.
And here you are embarking 2 babies, and you have a business that's another baby, really.
Yes.
That you have to nurture and take time with.
Yes.
I think Mommypreneur, I love the name. I love the vision and the motivation behind it. I think it's very important, especially in the season we're in, because we see now it's so many mommypreneurs are popping up. We're figuring it out. Like, you know, hey, even though I have this full-time job, or if I don't have a full-time job, I can do this. I can do both. And a
Yeah.
lot of times, just that push to have that whole community to kind of lean back on and feed off of. It's like an iron sharpens iron type of
Yeah.
thing. And
Yeah.
I think it's very beneficial, especially to us women. We need that. We need that constant stroking, that constant motivation to keep us in the push to
Mm.
continue to do the things that we're called to do. My last question to you is two things. It's two questions, a two-part question. The first is, how do you feel how do you feel that you have impacted um, your community for mommies and um, to help them push? Because this is not just a business. I see it for you. I see it as an assignment as well
Mm.
from the Lord, that to help you get you basically single-handedly pull this community together,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
they can kind of help each other. So I would like for you to just really briefly just talk about how you feel that the Lord is impacting has used you to impact, and some things that you have maybe thoughts that you haven't even embarked on yet, in reference to that. And my last question is, my second part of the question is, tell us about your services and the business that you do, and how you can be help with people and the needs of events. So that's two questions in one.
Yeah. So I think the journey of mommypreneur, I'm hoping that I am influencing some people,
Mhm.
especially in COVID. Some people lost their jobs completely,
Yeah.
or because kids had to do virtual learning,
Hmm.
they had no other choice but to be home. And
Hmm.
so a lot of businesses were birthed from it, or trying to figure out how to bring income in.
Yeah.
And so I hope that my story can influence others or inspire others.
Yes.
That you can do it. I'm just a girl from PG County.
I love
you
it.
know, um, just had a vision and was motivated and was persistent to make it happen. I still have goals that I want to reach.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, and so I'm hoping that's how this community can help each other and support each other,
I'm sure.
and kind of just become like a big referral source that I
Definitely.
would want to support this mom because I know
Yes.
it's a direct line to income for her kids.
That's right. Exactly. And that I love that you said that. And
Hmm.
it makes it so much personable versus
Yeah.
calling, just another service that you don't really know the history of,
Right.
versus when you know the history, or the person, and why they're doing it. It makes difference to me. It does.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about your services. What do you offer in your business? And the name of your business, I love it, is
Yeah.
Rescue, and Rescue Events, correct?
Yes.
Uh,
Rescue event planning. Yep.
Rescue Event Planning. That's so profound to me, because when you think of doing an event at all, it's like, oh my God, I got too much
Yeah.
to do.
Yeah.
Was this done? Was this done? And then you're trying to be the host, and it's just a.
Yeah.
So I definitely understand the motivation behind the name. So let's talk about your services and what you offer.
Yeah, so we still offer virtual for those who are still doing things virtual. And I don't think virtual is going to go away too much.
No.
And then we also offer hybrid services, and now in person events as well.
Yes.
If you're in the DMV area, but we do travel.
Okay.
Um, and we also offer for the mommypreneurs we call it our power planning session,
Hmm.
just trying to understand your business strategic goals of where you want to go through and kind of mapping out like a year timeline of where you can go and
Wonderful.
connect you with some people that can help you along the way.
Wonderful. I love that. I love that.
Yes.
And can you tell our audience how can they contact you?
Yes. So you can contact me on Instagram and Facebook, the Melissa Jakes.
Mhm.
If you want to contact Rescue, it'll be Rescue event planning. And my website is melissajakes.com or rescueeventplanning.com. And our emails are connected to both.
Awesome. Listen, I want to thank you so much for taking the time out to share with us on tonight. I'm sure some women will be giving you a call. Is any event too small or too big?
No event is too small. No event is too big. And we have not niched down. So we do all types of events.
Wonderful.
From small businesses to baby shower. We do all types of events.
Wonderful. I saw a video that you did a wonderful baby shower. I love the fact that you had the kids interacting and stuff. Mm-hmm. And your daughter was actually helping you. It was your daughter's birthday party.
Yes.
It was your daughter's birthday party. I thought that was amazing. Yeah. Listen, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward on seeing you every Wednesday on your YouTube channel.
Yes.
And you will be talking and having a lot of different mommies on for Mommypreneur. I love that, love it. And listen, you have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Thank you for your husband, his support that he's doing with his wife. I love to see young couples just doing it.
Yeah,
you and your babies, and much blessings to you all as you all continue to thrive and move forward in what you're doing. I'm just excited for you guys.
Thank you so much, Pastor Michelle. Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And listen, you all have a wonderful day. Next we're gonna have our next guest is Nicole Hubb. So you all stay tuned for that. Be right back.
Nicole D. Hubb. Nicole D. Hubb lives by the word of God in Matthew chapter 20, verse 26. But whoever would be great among you must be your servant. She serves God and his people in love. She has many years of experience mentoring and providing biblical education to young girls and women. She believes her purpose is to be an example of hope for those who feel their stories have already been written. Her personal passion is to help women identify and live intentionally in their purpose. As the host of the International Women's Podcast, Nicole finds joy in helping individuals learn their purpose and value, realizing we all have our own measure by which we have the ability to impact this world. Nicole has earned a bachelor's and master's of public health degree. She is a health coach for moms, helping them prioritize their own health and wellness to become their own woman again. Nicole is married to her loving husband, Lawrence, with whom she is raising 2 sons, King Langston and Lucas, in Maryland. Ladies, please welcome Nicole D. Hubb.
Hey.
Hi, Miss Nicole. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you so much for joining us on tonight. I'm super excited about you being here and about how the Lord has really blessed you in just your family and your whole process of what you're going to do. And I want us to jump in so we can get into it. So I have a question as we get started. I know now that you have 2 boys.
Yes, ma'am.
I want us to talk about your journey to motherhood. How did that change your life? How did that impact your first son was King, and how did that change your life? And then the second son. So let's go into the journey first, because I had chose you and Melissa because you all are young women, married, and allowing, you have your children and you're allowing the Lord to lead you and guide you on how you raise them. But I want to talk about you and how did that impact your life from not being a mommy at all? I mean, just getting used to being married, and now you're married, and now here comes this young man named King.
Yes.
So let's talk about just how you processed all that.
Yeah. Well, thank you again, Mama, for having me. I really appreciate it. And Melissa, that was amazing. That was an amazing interview. So similar to Melissa, I think Lawrence and I, we were married 3 years before we had decided that we were going to, you know, that we were going to have children. We had always said that we was going to enjoy each other for a little while, and then we would, you know, start a family. So we held true to that.
Okay.
And you know, so we had a conversation. It was like, okay, are we ready to start trying? And you know, we talked about it, and we were. So that's the summer of 2015. I believe it was. I had just graduated with my master's. So that was exciting. That May I had graduated with my master's, had just landed like my dream job. And it was like, okay, this is amazing. Thank you, God. Like brought me through this master's program and enjoyed the summer. And it was like, okay. So we got pregnant. I found out I was pregnant, I think in June or July. July. And was totally surprised. Like wasn't expecting it. I had literally just came off from a run, and I was like, well, let me check that. Took the test, and I was pregnant. So got home like because I was training for a half marathon. I was going to Chicago in September to run a half marathon. So I was doing my marathon training. So wait
a minute. You was on a marathon training, getting ready for a marathon, and tripped up on pregnancy.
I got pregnant. Restaurant and got pregnant.
Oh Lord.
So yes, I was shocked. I was just like totally shocked. Like I just honestly couldn't believe it. And of course, like set up something surprise launch when he got home and told him. He was super excited. We were happy. And just went made the first doctor's appointment. You know, went to the doctors, all of that stuff. And then around probably I think 7 weeks or so, I was supposed to leave the next day to go to California for a work trip. And I went to the restroom and I saw that I was bleeding. And I was like, okay, this is weird. So I didn't know what that was about. So I called Lawrence, I told him. So we went to the ER and sat in the ER for a little bit. They went in, they did ultrasound. It was like, we still see the sac there. It's still early. It wouldn't be a heartbeat yet, but the sac and stuff is there. It's still there. It might just be like just regular being. It might be fine. Just keep monitoring it. So the next day I get on the plane. I go to California. I'm working, I'm hiking. And while I'm in California, like I'm hiking and everything because was part of my job. That's what I was going there to do in Yosemite National Park. But until that time, I was still bleeding. Got back to Maryland. And then from Maryland, he picked me up from the airport and we drove straight to Alabama because we were going to go visit family. So the whole time we were down there, I was still having the same issues, but just like we just believe in God, like just like everything okay is going to be fine. Yeah. On the way back home, from Alabama, I started having like this crazy pain that I had never, ever in my life felt before. And I was like, this is different. I don't know what's happening. And I was just like holding on to like the car, like that little thing that comes down like on the side. And I was like, this is like really bad pain. So we stopped over at a rest stop, like a regular rest stop. And I go and I use the bathroom and I saw that I had passed the baby. So literally, yeah. So I lost the baby and I had to just be the baby and flush the toilet in a rest stop in Tennessee somewhere. Yeah. And even still seeing it, I was just like, okay, well, maybe it's something different. So we still got back in the car. Of course I was crying, just uncontrolled, what, this is terrible. What is going on? So we had to push on. We got home, and when we got back to home, we just went straight to the hospital. Of course, went there and they was like, I'm sorry, we don't see, it's nothing there anymore. So we lost the baby. So that was around right before 8 weeks. And I think that is how my motherhood journey started. I wouldn't say that it started when I found out it was with King. It was that experience where it literally was the furthest thing from my mind. It was the furthest thing. I didn't think about it. I didn't have any type of thoughts that this possibly could happen. And honestly, for me, it was okay, God, I did everything the right way. My story. I was a virgin when I got married to Lawrence. Also, why? How you gonna do this to me? I was really was, had a problem. And I couldn't understand why something like this would happen to me, happen to us. And I just remember just crying every day coming home from work, just laying on Lawrence's chest and just crying for probably 2 weeks straight. It was really hard. It was really, really hard. Because I just couldn't understand it. It just felt I felt so empty. I felt lost. And because I don't think I knew anybody at the time who had experienced anything like that, or nobody that at least had told me. Right. I felt alone. I felt isolated. And the only way I could explain it was I felt empty. And I just felt empty. So during that time, so we did still go to Chicago. But of course I didn't run the marathon, but it was good just to get away, and we had that time together. And then I think we came back and it was like my birthday. So I celebrated that with family. So that was good just to be around family and everything like that. And lo and behold, the next month, October, I'm like, what is happening? I go take a pregnancy test and I'm pregnant. I got pregnant again. Like probably the next month, probably like it had to be like the next month.
But they didn't tell you about the 6 weeks rule leave, did they?
Yeah. So I was like, okay, God.
Oh my God.
All right. Okay, here we are. So it was like October. October, I found out I was pregnant with King. And I'm not gonna lie, I was scared. Yeah. That's the best way I can describe it. Because the day that I took the test, Lawrence was actually on his way back out of town from preaching, so he wasn't home. So I just surprised him when he got home and told him, and of course he was excited, he was happy, but he kind of looked at me like, are you okay? Are you good? And honestly, I was scared, I was nervous. I just God, you just cannot do this cannot happen again. I don't know what I would do if it happened again, but then I also was on guard, kind of protecting myself, okay, this can't happen again. So every week you just holding your breath. Okay, all right, we made it to the next week. Okay, we made it to the next week. And that was, I feel like that was, again, the start, that experience of having a miscarriage and then getting pregnant again, kind of probably relatively quickly. I feel like, in my opinion, it didn't give me a chance to really process it all.
So that said, how did you pull yourself out of the anxiety of the second pregnancy, and be able to manage with that as you was carrying King?
Yeah.
How did you manage the fear and anxiety of what happened the first time?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I had to lean on is that I was pregnant at the time with a group of friends, literally me and three of my friends were all pregnant at the same time. Wow. So just really having them to lean on and having that experience, and also just praying for them that they wouldn't have the experience that I had. You know what I'm saying? It put my mind off of myself. And put my focus kind of on being there and praying for them not to experience anything that I had experienced. And then of course just keeping myself busy, man. I was still working full time, still traveling for work, being a part of church and doing ministry and things like that. I think I just kept myself busy from really thinking about it, because I think there's times where I kind of did get quiet and I kind of sat too long, then my mind started to wander, and it wouldn't have been the best thing.
Yeah. And when you experience anything traumatic, is that it takes a lot of it just takes a lot of prayer and discipline and focus to really maneuver through that. Some women maneuver through it, some women don't,
Yeah.
and it's so let's move forward. So here you are, you're pregnant with King.
Mm-hmm.
How did that go? How was that experience for you?
Yeah, so I feel like I had a relatively normal pregnancy, thank God, up until I think it was the Saturday after, the Sunday after his baby shower. Mm-hmm. And I remember just seeing after I took my baby shower dress off, kind of these bumps all over me, and I was like, what is this? This is kind of weird, but I didn't think anything of it. But over the next 2 days, it progressed really bad, and I really had bumps all over my body, and they itched like nobody's business. So apparently, I had this thing called PUPS. And it's this rash that pregnant women get. They don't know all the ins and outs of it, but they just know that it happens sometimes with people who are pregnant, where you get this. So it was just really itchy. It was really uncomfortable. It was really nothing I could do. I had to find this special soap, take cold showers or multiple times throughout the day, just to kind of ease it. And on the time I had another work trip, so I had to deal with this while I was away from home, working and trying to manage this at the same time. And again, that was another level of fear, because I was well, is this? The doctors reassured me that it wouldn't be anything to hurt the baby, but it could turn into this other thing that was worse, that could be harmful. They was so just keep an eye on it. So again, that put me in another state of just okay, is something going to go wrong? And I think I really can say, honestly, for King's pregnancy, I just feel I was holding my breath the whole time. just like holding my breath the whole time, just not wanting the ball to fall, but like not being surprised so much if the ball do fall, like, and something happens. So it was hard mentally just to kind of, and when I talked to my husband about it in hindsight, he's just always like, your pregnancy with Lucas was like, just like, you know, was better than it was with King. Like, you were just more uptight and strong. And again, I thought I was doing the best I could, like, just to, you know, to push through. But, you know, people closer to you, they know you a little better, they see it. And at that time, like, he wouldn't have like told me, because again, he knew I had all that stuff going on, and like, he was awesome in that day. I remember one day I came home and he had like put Post-its all over the mirror, just like affirmations of like how beautiful I was and how precious I was, like all these things he had put on the mirror. Because I was just kind of, you know, just having a hard time, you know, mentally, not even really physically, like, you know, you know that you want to, like, you know, gain weight and all stuff with baby, and I was fine with that. I think it more so for me, it was just like the mental part of just worrying, you know, at a given moment, like, is something going to go wrong? But God carried me through the pups thing. It, you know, subsided over like, I think a week and a half, 2 weeks, it kind of cleared up. And then I went for my 40-week appointment. It was the day before King's due date. And I went into the doctor's office. They did a sonogram, and it was like, he doesn't have any fluid around him. And I'm like, huh? It's like, have you noticed any leaking or anything? And I'm like, no, like, you know, I'm just going to the bathroom a lot, like it's normal. And they was like, well, no, he doesn't have any amniotic fluid around him. We think maybe something might have happened with your placenta. So they in the doctor, they was like, so we're gonna send you to the hospital and go ahead and induce you, because we don't we just want to get him delivered as soon as possible. So they like strip my membrane in the doctor's office. They send me right to the hospital. I get there. I think we get to the hospital like a little bit after 5. They sign me and everything. They hook me up to the monitors, and they're like, yeah, he's not even handling like the contractions that you are having. So the doctor comes in and she's like, so we're gonna have to do a C-section. And I was like, what? And I just broke down crying because, again, all my friends, like, so everybody just like, we gonna have natural, like, we gonna not get the epidural, like, we know that's our goal, like, we're gonna be able to, you know, control our bodies, do our mindfulness, and be there and push these back.
Y'all good, because I was like, give me the epidural.
That was the goal. The goal was to not get an epidural, and then it's like, you have to get the baby out. Like, he's not handling the contractions that you're having, because of course I didn't have any fluid, so in the fluid helps to cushion the baby. It absorbs the contractions, the shocks. So I didn't have anything. So he wasn't even taking the contractions that I was having, and I was like having mild contractions at that time. So came in and told me that they was going to have to do a C-section. And I was nervous. I didn't know what to expect. Again, it wasn't anything I didn't consider it. I didn't think of it as an option. Like, I didn't have any issues throughout my pregnancy. All my doctor's appointments, everything was fine. They didn't see anything. And so then, you know, it happened so quick. It was like, okay, we have to do a C-section. They gave Lawrence his stuff, suited him up. They took me to the OR room, did the anesthesia, numbing, everything. Then Lawrence came in, and like, I think, and King was born at 7:02 or something like that. So it literally all happened in a matter of like an hour and a half. And he was born, thank God. And I think I heard him cry. And I think that was the first time I was able to like breathe. I was able to breathe. Yeah. But then shortly after, I feel like I took a deep breath in and I started holding my breath all over again.
So, okay, now King is born.
Yes.
So how did you manage this new life? Now your schedule's changed. You got this baby. I mean, how did you manage that, and how did it evolve through time? Because he's how old now?
King will be 5 in June. I can't believe it. Wow. He'll be 5 in June.
Okay. I'm like, okay. So how did you manage? Now he's, a different person every year. And now, and then King, at what age did you have the other baby?
Yeah, so King had just turned 2, and I think like a couple of weeks later, that's when we found out we were pregnant with Lucas.
Okay.
Yeah. So the transition to having a child, I think I went into what you kind of talked about with Melissa, was just like this superwoman mentality. Mm-hmm. Just and one thing that slowed me down from the beginning was just like that C-section, that recovery. Yeah. I've never had any type of major surgery or anything in my life. So that was just it was a shock to my body. It was a shock to my everything. And that and it slowed me down so much that it just made me sad. Like I was like, what is going on? Like, I can't do anything. I remember having to like sleep on the couch like the first couple of nights because our bed was so high that I couldn't step up in it. But so it was just a lot of adjusting those first couple of weeks, because you don't have your full range of motion, and ability to do everything that you normally do. Then on top of like, trying to learn how to breastfeed and nursing the baby and all that stuff. So I think I really kind of took on like this mentality of just like being superwoman and trying to do it all. And just wanted to have him with me because I felt like if he's with me, like he's more safe, like he's protected. Because again, I just was holding my breath. Like I didn't want anything like, I got him here now, Lord. Okay, now I got to keep him safe. I got to protect him. I got to make sure that he's good. So in my mind, I was like, okay, if he's with me, then he's fine. Right. So I wasn't like getting breaks or anything. I didn't really like trust anybody to keep him and watch him and all that stuff. So I was, King was with me literally for the first 9 months of his life. He went to work with me and everything. I worked from home with him. Then my job was gracious at the time. Like we set up a playpen. He had a pack and play in there, everything. Yeah, so I was taking him to work with me and everything. And then the days I worked from home, of course, he was home with me. It wasn't until about 9 months where we found a sitter who is amazing. Oh my gosh, she's amazing. She still watches the boys to this day. And she was just a godsend at the time. Like the Lord placed her in our life at the time that I needed it the most. Yeah. At the time I needed the most. And literally it was 2 days a week. The 2 days that I went into the office, those were the 2 days that she kept King for me. So it was a lot of just, doing the most. Listen, just trying to do everything, trying to, in ministry with supporting Lawrence and working a full-time job and being, trying to be a good friend and, everything that trying to be a good mom and managing all the things that come along with him. Cause he has like some food allergies and things like that. So I had to be super cautious about that. Cause like, I don't want nobody giving him nothing that he can't have and all those things. So it was a lot of weight, I feel like, on me that I didn't properly like try to find spaces to disperse it and look for support.
Got it. So I have a few. Okay, so that said, so it's evident that the trauma from the loss spilled over into the birth.
It did.
Into the raising.
It did. And I was parenting from a place of fear.
Yeah.
I was parenting King for that first year from a place of fear, for sure.
So how did you manage that emotion or that feeling? And here you are in the second pregnancy.
Yeah, it was rough. When I found out I was pregnant, I don't even think I didn't get like super excited. Mm-hmm. And then I remember one appointment we went to the doctors and we were driving home and Lawrence was like, you taking away the joy from my experience because of how you're dealing with this. And it really convicted me. It really sat with me and it made me like kind of look at myself and be like, are you gonna have faith for this or not? Or are you gonna just, hold on to this and just continue to carry it through and make yourself miserable and then also make your husband miserable as well because you're not believing God past what you've experienced or what you've seen. And then also the point, like you've seen God do it, like you have a whole kid in the back seat that's evidence, of God's faithfulness, and yet you still choose to believe what you want to believe at the end of the day. It don't matter. Like you choose to believe what you want to believe.
Well, I'll say this in your defense as the wife, a woman, your process is going to always be different from your husband's because you carry the baby. Mm-hmm. Not saying, he didn't have no feelings. I'm just saying your process is going to be always different than the husband because you carried him. Yeah. And so you have a different process, and then he as your husband's gonna process too. You get what I mean?
Yeah. And it was something that I think at the time that I needed to hear though, to kind of put me into a place of
to take you out of that sunken place.
To take me out of that sunken, to take me out of that place and to really take me out of it and to look at it and say, look at what God has already done. Like trust him, and then understand that if come what may, he's still God. Like he will be able to restore. Like he'll be able to do exceedingly whatever you think, whatever you think you need or whatever you think you desire. So it was one of those times where again, like we had just bought a house. Again, found out that we was pregnant. Things were.
So like you were in a place. So with
I
your
was in
husband,
a good place.
yeah. And then your husband, man of God, what he was doing, he probably saw that at that time what the Lord was doing with you guys was stretching your faith.
Yeah, for
You're
sure.
stretching your faith in a new home, stretching your faith in a new baby boy,
Mhm.
dismantling the fear from the old trauma and
Yeah.
walking into the new thing that the Lord has given you. So let's talk about the second baby and how that changed even your schedule and how that had changed the way you view motherhood.
Yeah, for sure. So with Lucas, it was one of those things where again I had to have that conversation with myself, and then later had a conversation with my husband. Was like, you know what? And let's say, and I will say this, it's so funny. I was like, I told my husband, I was like, I think I need to go to therapy. I think I need to talk about like what's going on. I think that, based on what you said to me, like I really need to take some time to kind of talk objectively to somebody, like to help me process through this, because I don't want to carry this. And then also I was like, this got to be a girl, so I can't be bringing no girl into no drama like this. Like I got to get myself together. So I thought I'm a girl. So that was like one of my main things. It was like, I can't bring a daughter into this world, and I got all this stuff. But of course, Lucas is not a girl. But but it was a motivator. But having that opportunity, having that outlet of like talking objectively to somebody who doesn't know me from from anything, but was able to help me to talk and to process and find my voice. It really made the difference in the pregnancy with Lucas versus the pregnancy from King. Like I felt like I could breathe. Now I wasn't like, if you look on my social media stuff, like I didn't post a lot like when I was pregnant with Lucas, but I was doing the work internally. When I think about like I was doing the work like to keep my mind right, to stay focused, to stay grounded, and to stay in a posture of faith. To birth him and to bring him into a newness, right, and not into this old place that I had been in. So God, of course, God kept us. I did have to deliver Lucas early again, through another C-section, because I had signs of preeclampsia. So I had to deliver him at 37 weeks, but thank God, like he was healthy, he was fine. We were able to come home. And then I was just able to kind of pull on from the experience that I had with King to kind of know not what to do. And my mom really came through this time with the second pregnancy with Lucas. Like she was down here, she was down here like probably every other day. She was helping out and just like lending as much support as she could, like from her time off work and things like that. So even having my mom and like creating that space, and having conversations that we had in between King and Lucas, and being able to open up and allow her to help me in that way was such a blessing. And then also communicating more with my husband about, okay, like, when you get home, I'm gonna go take a walk, or I need those
me moments.
Yeah, I need having those me moments and saying like I need to get out, like giving notice and saying like, by the end of the week, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna need a break. And again, like I was working also. And I took Lucas to work with me for a little bit. I did take him to work with me, but
with King.
And I took no. By this time, King was in preschool. I think we had put him into preschool by this time. We had put him into preschool. So King was at school 3 days a week. So I would take Lucas with me, but it didn't work out. Which again, I think was a blessing in disguise. So then Lucas goes to Mavi, goes to the sitter as well. So I was able to have that time, have those 2 days when I'm like driving to work and driving home from work, like to kind of like have quiet time, like decompress and really take that in. It definitely is a different, difference from one child to two, because the one, like you're overwhelmed because it's new. And then the second child, you're overwhelmed because it's two of them. And it's like, if one don't have something, if one not having a problem, then the other one has got something going on. I remember the first time Lawrence had to go back to work, and it was my first day home with both of them.
Okay.
My goodness. Langston had to pee, and he had on like one of those sleepers, and he like couldn't get it unzipped. Like I was nursing Lucas, and he's like in the bathroom, like I gotta go to the bathroom, about to pee on himself. So I'm like I'm holding nursing Lucas, trying to get him. It was literally like 10 minutes after Lawrence left out the house, like everything was broke loose.
Everything fell up. Oh my God.
Everything fell out. I was so done. So that was the struggle. It's just like it's two of them, and you want to not show favoritism. But me and Lawrence had talked ahead of time, and I had told him, like, you're going to have to spend a little bit more time with King during this time, because I'm going to be having to focus on the baby, like, especially with the nursing and all of that stuff, everything that entails. So like having those conversations ahead of time helped us prepare. Of course, we couldn't prepare for everything, but we did try to have conversations and things like that. And of
One
course,
thing I love that you said that I think was very rich. One of the things that you said that was very rich, that you took control. You took control over how you felt and sought the help that you needed, that you felt that you need to get out your feelings and how you felt and the thing, and to talk it out. A lot of times as women, what we do, we internalize, and what we internalize become a cancer.
yes.
And I love the fact that you went to therapy, and in lieu of May here, May is Mental Health Month. It's just to let people know that prayer is a weapon, therapy is the strategy, and sometimes it's it's well, I don't see anything wrong with it in the Christian community, and even the Black community have created it as a stigma, but it's good to get, especially with pregnancy, you moving from one child to another. And I didn't ask you, did you feel that you dealt with postpartum depression at all, or anything like that while you were managing from one child to another?
Yeah, nothing from, I don't think I had postpartum depression like from the transition from 1 to 2 with Lucas. But I was on a live the other day talking to, and I was like, I think that I was having issues after King, but I think like I just was going so fast, I didn't even have time to like sit in it. And it wasn't until like a year after like after King's first birthday, I had an episode, like had some health issues where I like kept passing out. So I think it was like my body, like it caught up with me like a couple months later.
Got it.
So I didn't have like the moments of like such as like crying and things like that, because I think I was just like feeling like I just had to go. But a couple months later, my body was like, yeah, sit down.
And our body will talk to us. Our body will talk to us. Yeah. I just love the fact that you did what you had. You took control. You took control of this, and your husband, God used your husband as well to speak to you, to kind of pull you out of it.
Yes.
But on the flip side, you took control of that, and that's great. I think that's
and it was his support though. I mean, because he suggested it to me, and I was like, okay, like, I'll think about it. And I came back to him and was like, I agree. Like, I think that this is so, even him as a man of God, like in knowing God the way that he does, he's just like, okay, I'm telling you this, but then I'm gonna come back and say, here's something practical. Like, if you feel like you can't express it to me, if you're having a hard time finding somebody, like, this is something practical that me as a mental health professional, like I support it, I believe in it, and I think that this would be beneficial to you. So even him in that sense, and not, making me feel bad, or like making me feel like judged for like having these conflicting feelings, but saying, I understand you, I see you, I hear you, I just want you to get better by any means. If you can't, even if it's not through me, I would love to be the one to help you, but if I can't do it, like you should do this, and I'll support you in it.
And that's amazing, because a lot of times, especially as us as pastors and preachers and things like that, when we have family members, whether it's our spouse, our children, whoever, when they are going through things, sometimes it takes them to go step aside and go somewhere else, just not because we can't do it or not because you don't receive, but just sometimes to get a new perspective or give a different ear to what you're going through. Now, here we have two bouncing boys, very busy in the house. and causing all types of havoc and bouncing off each other. Now, what I know that you're a stay-home mom now. What drove you to that place? Because you were working full time. So, what was the deciding factor to say, "Hey, I want to stay home with my boys"?
Yeah, so in 2019, 2 days before Thanksgiving, I was on a call with my job doing like my year-end review, and they let me know that they were changing the direction as far as how the organization would be structured. And in my department that I was in, they were going to dissolve it. So I didn't have a job. So it was that was simple. But I still was like, okay, I need to find a job. Like I literally just had a baby in March. This is November. Had been in the house for a year. Like I can't not work. Like I need. So I was in, in grind mode, like trying to find a job and doing interviews, doing applications, all of those things. And in December, I was like, you know what, maybe I should. A friend of mine suggested, like, why don't you consider like doing your own business, like health coaching or something like that? Because you have the background, like that's what you really like, and helping people. And I was like, okay, I'll think about it. So I had like looked online, ordered some material, and was like, okay, I'm gonna study and get this. Then of course that next January, I'm still like looking for jobs and everything like that. But by the time March comes, that's when COVID started. So at that time, that's when we had to, of course, take King out of his preschool, and he was home at that time. Now home with me, along with Lucas. And at first, it was an adjustment. It was an adjustment because I was still working from the time the mind frame of like, oh, I'm about to be. This just going to be for a couple months that I'm here. But I'm going back to work. Like, I'm going to get another job. I'm not going to be here. But then when COVID hit, and then we had to pull him out of school, and I was like, okay, like, oh, this is happening. Like, you're here, and I have to be here teaching you and doing all of this. And it was really God just had to deal with me as far as like learning how to operate from a place of rest and not feeling like I had to produce in order to prove my worthiness. And to prove that I had value, and to know that I'm valued enough just because I'm his daughter. Being a daughter, the King gives me all the value, all the identity, and everything that I need. So last year, God just took me through a process of literally just stripping me from everything that I thought made me me, and showing me the essence of who I am, and that is his daughter. And from being his daughter, I can operate and flow from a place of as a mother, as a wife, as a as a business owner, as a friend, whatever it is. And understanding from that place of rest, he taught me order. And I've really had to understand that like my family is my number one priority. My family is my number one. If this household, this home, managing this home, taking care of my my husband, taking care of my children, that is my priority. And the Lord placed on my husband and our hearts that we want our children's greatest influence to come from our home. So from from last year, like lots of conversations, like, you know what, I don't see me going back to work. And my husband's like, as long as I'm able to do what the Lord is able to keep us and sustain us in the way that he has, I'm not asking you, and I'm not telling you that you have to go back to work. So he said it before I did. Now it took me a little bit while to come around to it, but I did come around to it. And every day is not an easy day. But at the end of the night, I give God thanks. I pour out gratitude to be able to have the experiences, have the stories to share about how they, threw a monkey wrench in my day. Because at the end of the day, I know that they're with me, and I know that they're safe. I know that they're safe, and I know that that we're doing our best to show them the fruits of the Spirit in our home. Like, not just like, yes, Daddy is a pastor, but God, because of how that mommy and daddy operate, how we communicate with each other, how we communicate with you. So for me, that lens of being able to operate from a place of rest from my home is what being a stay-at-home mom means to me, and how I want to, even with starting a business, that business is birthed out of that place of rest, saying that this is the schedule, these are the hours that I have to work with people. If they conflict with what they have to do with home, then that's not something that I can take. You know what I'm saying? That God is going to provide. He's going to give me everything that I need, because I'm honoring him in how I set the order to my life in my home.
So so you're teaching the babies, you're feeding them, they have nap time.
Listen, everybody know my house is on do not disturb from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. Them boys take a nap. And
and I want to say, is that your me time?
Oh yeah. I know that I have that from 1 to 3. So if I want to take a nap, I can take a nap. If I want to get on the phone and catch up with a friend, I can. If I need to catch up on some work, do some stuff around the house, I know that I can do that, during that time. So it is one of those
moments. I call them me moments. The me moments are so important. And not just in parenting and mothering and all that. It's important in life, whether you're a male, female. You have to take that time for yourself, to gather your own thoughts, to kind of decompress your day.
Yes, ma'am.
Not you're going to sleep with your motor still running. You know what I mean? You have you have to park the car and turn the ignition off, you know, and not go through your day with the motor still running. And that's even with our thought pattern. I had to learn, and this was a learned practice for me. I had to learn when it's time for me to go to sleep, I had to pray and ask God to govern my thoughts. I can find myself in bed, ready to go to sleep, but my mind is at the church. My mind is on ministry. My mind is on my daycare. My mind is on my family. And I've learned to pray to specifically about that.
Yes.
So I can turn off. That's what I call turn off the motor in my mind, so I can have not just a sleep but a rest.
Yeah. And that's why I try to encourage new moms are in that postpartum stage, just to really spend some time. It took me some time to really find out after having my children, like, what do I like, especially at the King. Like, I used to hate that question, like, oh, what do you like to do for fun? Because I never had a good answer. It will always be like, I'm chilling with a little toddler. Like, he is my little bit. Like, I'm always with him. Like, or I'm doing, church or doing work. It was nothing that was just Nicole. And I really had to take time to find out what made me like, what filled me up, what brought me joy, instead of things that were just attached to responsibilities, that were attached to titles, that was attached to roles. But it's like, who is Nicole? Like, who is Nicole? And now I can confidently say, like, when somebody asks me, like, what do you like to do? Like, I have a list of things, like, I'm looking to expand that list. Like, I can tell them that I like fresh flowers on my morning room table. I can tell them that I like things that smell good. I have a list of things that I can pull on. So even when I am having a hard day, or if I'm having a hard time finding joy, or just like feeling good, I can pull on different things that I know will give me what it is that I need. So postpartum is hard for a lot of reasons, because you begin to think just that all you want to know is, I just want to be the best mom for my child. I want to be the best mom for my child. But what moms fail to realize is that if you're not good to yourself, you won't be able to be good for your children. Your children need to see you being you and living in your truth. Like, King know that I have friends. Like, I'm your mommy, you going to brunch with your friend? Yes. And daddy went going to lunch with his friend, like you went to lunch with your friend. Yes. Like, I am somebody else outside of just being your mom. That he's older now, so he understands, but we have to, do those things and show them, be an example, especially like if you're a mom, you have a daughter, like, show your daughter, like, show her those things, like, you working on, take care of your body, and not just because, you might want to look a certain way, have a certain aesthetic, and nothing is wrong with that, but also just so she can be healthy and know that that's something that we do, before she even knows what beauty is and is able to measure those things.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much. And it teaches them how to manage good relationships. See mommy in a different light than mommy, but mommy is friend to someone else.
Yeah. And mommy is daddy's wife. Listen, Lawrence will tell them boys in a minute, I'll talk to my wife like that.
Yeah. I know that's right. I know that's right, Lord. And I could see his face, like, in my mind right now.
No, you're not talking to my wife. So it's good. Like, my dad came over a couple weekends ago, because Lawrence was taking me out. And I was like, granddad's coming later. He was like, you and daddy going out? I was like, yes, we are. So he knows, like, if my dad is coming over, that means that, oh, daddy and mommy must be about to leave. So again, it's about making yourself a priority. And the women that I work with, like the postpartum moms, like, I want to work them to give them permission to prioritize their own health and wellness, because again, like, we as women, as much as we don't, like, we look for people, even if it's one person, just to validate us and to let us know, like, it's okay to do that. So listen, I will be that woman for you to tell you, so you won't end up in the situation that I was in, that you have to take care of yourself, sis. Like, fill your cup. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot pour from an empty cup. So fill your cup up, do what you need to do, and then you can do and be everything that you want to be.
And that said, as we wrap up, tell me about your heart and your motivation for the Intentional Woman.
Yes. So my journey of being an intentional woman was literally birthed from my process of, I feel like, becoming a mom. Like, that, having that miscarriage really kind of shook me at my core, and really had caused me to have to, like, really look at myself and get to know God. Like, not having these vicarious relationships, Mom. We talk. like not having these vicarious relationships. And during this time, like I know the Lord, like I know him as Nicole's Lord and Savior. Like I know him as Nicole's mind regulator. Like I know him as, my heart fixer. Like I know the Lord as these things now.
Yes.
So it's painful as that experience was, and it's painful as it still is, even, recalling it, almost 5 years later. I don't know if the sting of it will ever go away, but I know that now I can share it from a place of victory, knowing that, that God was with me there, you know what I'm saying, and that he's with me here. And if I had to experience that just to encourage another woman, then you know what, to God be the glory. To God be the glory. So being able to be, for me, it was really not knowing who I was, like, again, having that hard question asked to me, like, what it is that you like, what makes you happy, and not knowing. So I that scripture in 2 Peter, where it says, like, the enemy comes to like he's devouring, like he's looking for, like he's hunting, he's on the prey. So the enemy is on the prey. That means I got to be even more on it. So that's where the idea of intentional came about, where it's like he knows what his assignment is. So I got to go 10 times harder about being intentional, about focusing in on the things of the Lord and the things of God, so that I'm able to overcome the adversary. When the enemy comes up and like a flood, I'm able to lift up the standard, the word of God, to be able to fortify me, put on the full armor of God, so that I'm able to withstand all his attacks, because he's coming ready. And I have to be intentional about the things I'm looking at, the things that I'm listening to, the people that I'm around, the conversations that I'm having, that I'm able to fight in the spirit and in the natural. So that's where that came from, because I just, like, the enemy is out there lurking. He is waiting. And I was just letting life happen to me, Mom. Like I was just letting life happen to me. And that I knew that, and that wasn't the will of the Lord for my life. It wasn't the will of the Lord for my life.
So how do someone get in touch with you and be able to connect with you in reference to the Intentional Woman podcast that you have on? I'm excited about that. So can you talk to us about that, so they can know exactly how they can tune in and when they should tune in, and how they can connect to you with you in reference to that?
Awesome. Yeah. So the Intentional Woman podcast is on all platforms where you can listen to podcasts, so Apple Music, Spotify, Stitcher, all of those. You can just search Intentional Woman podcast, and I just talk to everyday women, encourage them to seek and find God in every season of their life, because he is with us. He is there. So it's our job to seek him. It's our job to find him, and he'll tell us where he wants us to go, what he wants us to do, and what it is that he is trying to get through us, or get out of us. So I hope that you all listen. And new episodes normally air on Thursdays. Season 2 is coming up, so new episodes, but I have like 20 episodes already that you can listen to. And if you have any prayer requests, you can send them to www.theintentionalwomanco.com. You can send prayer requests there. And you can just connect with me on IG. I'm just at Nicole D Hubb, or here on Facebook, just Nicole Hubb.
Yes, awesome. Nicole, I thank you so much for coming and sharing with us on tonight. You are a wonderful inspiration of a young woman that's determined to do the right thing, raise her sons, be a wonderful wife. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
And how you've evolved and become and all that good stuff. I love you so much.
I love you too.
I am we're also grateful for your husband for allowing you to come, and I hope he's tuning in. If not, he will later on. And you just continue to strive. You all connect with this young lady. She has a lot to say. The Lord has really anointed her in this area. And he's anointed her through experience. And that's honestly, that's the, I would say sometimes experience is a good teacher, sometimes it's not. But when God is in it, it always is. That's it. And that's where he makes all things work together for the good. So I just want to thank you. Listen, tonight we're going to, I wanted to kind of lift the seed just so you all can help us continue to do what we're trying to do with the journey of womanhood. We on every every Tuesday at 7:30. Talking to different women, all walks of life. If you have a story, that you would like to share, you can always contact me, and we can, or my staff, and we would love to hear your story. Because listen, you didn't even go through what you went through for yourself. You went through that for somebody else, and to bless. And because you have went through it and survived it, and you're now victorious, and you're better, and you're wiser, guess what? Now it's time for you to tell your story. So if you have a story you want to tell, please just join us, or just reach out to me, and I would love to talk to you. Also, next week we will be moving forward in this month of May, and we will be talking about mental health and women and mental health. We'll be talking about that on Tuesday with a beautiful young woman by the name of Takia Blackman. She has a wonderful book that's telling her testimony about being depressed and saved. So she's going to talk about how she had went through a mental health episode, and she has the victory, and she has able to have the victory. So you all come through. We will have another mental health episode probably on Thursday, and then we're wrapping our week up on Saturday beginning at 9 a.m. We're going to go to Watkins Park, and we're going to have women. We're going to come together and walk. That's what we're
Yes.
Yes,
You tell me about that.
I know.
That's right up my alley.
Yes, we're going to walk. I'm gonna drop the flyer this week.
Okay.
We're going to walk and just talk, and it's going to be a beautiful thing. And we're walking for in honor of mental health, good mental health for women. And we're going to close out our May with that. I love you all so much. Sow a seed if the Lord leads you to, just so we can continue to have these broadcasts on. We also you can follow us on our YouTube channel, The Journey of Womanhood. Please subscribe, and please also like our page on Facebook and our page on Instagram. Listen, ladies, I need you all to share this video. Somebody need to hear it. We had two phenomenal young women, mothers, wives, that came and told their story, been very transparent, and I'm sure it blessed you on tonight. You all have a wonderful night. I want to thank you again, Miss Nicole Hubb, for joining us on tonight. I love you with everything you already know. And I want to thank you all for joining us on tonight. Don't forget, we'll be here same time, same place next Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. The Journey of Womanhood. And don't you forget that womanhood is a journey. See you next week.